turning the mic on. Who wasn't here this morning?
Okay.
I'm not going to repeat my whole story because I don't want to bore the other 80% that were here. Will you all talk to each other if I give you direction? Okay. I just want you to, on page, before I get going, I want you to introduce yourselves, because on page 2, you'll see that the second objective for today is for you to build a network of peers to help you overcome roadblocks. And we're going to start that work by having you meet each other. But I'm not going to do the whole group because I want to take up half of our time hearing intros. So what I'm going to suggest is that you go talk to somebody that you didn't come with. Which, if you're an introvert like me, which you don't believe I'm an introvert, but I'm a total introvert, I just learned to overcome it. Will seem awkward, but you will actually meet somebody who probably will be able to help you with something in your life down the road. So the things I want you to talk about when you get together are, what do you do well about managing yourself, and what's one thing you're working on? And then, give each other a little background. I'm just going to give you like 5 minutes to do that. Okay? So get up, find somebody else, introduce, and then we're going to kick it off from there. What are you doing well with managing yourself, and what are you not doing so well that you want to work on? What? Well, I thought you were talking to each other.
I know, but I'm tired. Actually, I was going to look for you anyway, but you were the only one to raise your hand, so you got 30 employees or more. Yeah. I like that.
Okay. So I'm going to hear debrief. And then I'm not going to have them right all of them because there's no time. It's already down to 2 hours.
I live here.
And I checked with Gary, and he said, yeah, that's totally right. I'll just tell him about it. Yeah.
So you're in sales. Is that what I heard? Okay, what's your role?
I am in business. We need a business. The bankers, the lawyers. We buy new equipment. We sell equipment. I do sales portion. Yes.
What do you do? Printing. Printing. We use old machines to make paper as opposed to metal. We might have some similar wavelengths.
Yeah. What's your, everything or anything? Or are you in a specific?
I didn't bring a business card to explain if I did, but it's a specific niche where we use.
I'm going to show that little film in a
You're
minute.
killing me, dude.
Can we turn the lights when that down? You don't know. Don't worry about it.
I have one.
I was about to say, they got to do that.
No, explain the whole letterpress thing, because you are very specific.
In a minute after I debrief this, I'm going to show the film. Can we do the lights down?
So letterpress is an old-fashioned way of printing. It was the first way of printing, like Gutenberg invented 500 years ago.
It's not critical, but it'll look better in the dark.
It really reached its peak around the 1950s. There's all this equipment out there.
How many upper-level executives does it take to fit? That was good. Who would have thought? Way to go, man. Sometimes we look for a more difficult answer. Okay, you got 1.5 more minutes. So
the old way of mass production, but because it's shifted, now it's small production.
All right, we better get to this. Let's get to the termination.
Right. These are the numbers. These are the. Right. I didn't thought that I've actually got to come into Gary's.
yeah.
So I'm thankful for that because I've been getting caught up in the entrepreneurship's different now.
Yeah. If they're thinking like leaders running a business, you'll disagree with them sometimes, but it's good. Paul and I disagree all the time. But they're going after greatness while you're disagreeing. The problem, so people perceive that as a negative, but it's way better than the other problem, which is we're clueless and disengaged.
And not knowing what that Right. Right.
Another minute, okay, take another minute.
Yeah. What do I do well? I'm good at like throwing things down. Okay, this has to be. I'm actually very good at yelling. I finally learned that I can't do it. I'm actually paying you to do it. You need to go do it. And I trust you. You're not going to do it as well as I am. But you may even do it better. But that's what I need to do. So go do it. I was an audit yesterday. And I was supposed to be there.
If you're the only one here after I debrief them, I'm going to show this film, so that's switch.
2:30 rolling around. Y'all have a good one? I'm gonna go. That's good. And I left mine at a quality, taking care of the quality on it. And I checked in with him this morning. What did she come up with yesterday? What do we need to say? When we got in here at lunch, quick phone call. Daryl, were there any major issues? Well, she had these 3 things. I said, okay, you know how to take care of 1. You need a decision on 2. No, I think I can do it. Number 3, this is what I need to do. My biggest problem, I don't think long term. I'm always writing a list of what I need to do today and not what I need to do a week, a month, a year, 5 years. So I like that long term. I feel like I'm always fighting the fire just to saying, okay, this is where I see us in 20 years. So I'm scared if we're not even growing in the right direction. We should be growing.
Okay, you good? What'd you learn? What'd you find out from talking to each other?
We're all crazy.
You're all crazy, okay. I'll run with
We're
it.
all needing the same things in a lot of ways.
Okay, a lot of you have the same things. Who found that the person they were talking to was good at something they're not good at? Yeah, this is why diversity is good. None of us are good at everything. The things that my partner Paul, that he goes crazy over, some of them I don't even notice, and vice versa. So the key is, the more we all see different things, and then the more we bring all those views into play and run in the organization, the healthier we're going to be. Part of managing ourselves is not about getting to be perfect. It's about improving, and one way to improve is to get help from other people who are good at stuff we're not good at. Okay? Were there any particular themes of what you're working on that I could be mindful of as we move forward today? Things you're working on with self-management that you want me to touch on?
Oh, is it time management?
Time management. If we have time for that, we'll get to it.
Short-term focus versus long-term focus.
Okay.
Too busy looking at what I need to do today and not really being mindful of where that's going to get me tomorrow. The next
How's that working for you?
Not very well.
Okay. That's usually a tip-off.
Similar to his, I find myself very capable of setting that 12-month or even 5-year goal. But when the trenches get tough, what's that 90? How do you comprise that 90-day vision or even that 2-week vision that is a stepping stone, so you don't see the peak being so far away?
Okay.
Do you do that, or do you only set the longer-term goals? That's something
No.
that I would be curious to hear.
You do both. Do them all. Okay. We'll talk about that.
I was time management.
You were. Okay, I'm not going to repeat our whole history. I'm going to do something different instead. Let's see if this actually works.
It's not like a tangible thing. It's sort of just like a feeling, more or less.
It's like watching.
I think it can mean very many different things. It kind of can morph into whatever you need it to be for, but it would never mean jerky.
It would never mean jerky. No.
I think it's a place where people eat. I think it's a place where we want people to eat, but I think it's also a place where we want people to have fun.
It's an experience.
That's peanut
it's
brittle.
great food, it's great service, it's great finance, it's giving back to the community, and it's all based around a love of food and service. And it kind of has this synergy going in a life of its own and just keeps getting better and better.
Well, physically, it's a community of businesses. There's 8 businesses now, and they're all based in Ann Arbor, and they're food producing and or selling businesses. Not physically, I think it's a culture.
we are a community of businesses, and I really like that because we're not legally bound as a community. We're a community by choice. And that, I mean, to me that does embody it, that we're all making the choice to be a part of this organization, and that this organization is making a choice to be an organization, that we're 8 different businesses, but we choose to operate in a way that is not like any other business that I've ever known.
There's not enough words to describe Zingerman's, not only the food and the taste of the food, but the way that people are treated, both customers and employees alike. It's the way that the business runs on its own, with systems just in place to make everything happen and happen the way that it should happen.
It's a lifestyle. They give us the tools to both learn about the food, to live the food, to love the food, but they also connect us with people and connect us with the resources to be not only successful, but to thrive in the community. I mean, they give us so much more than any other business I've been able to work for. They pay me like they respect me. My managers talk to me and always give me the recognition that they respect me. My coworkers, I love seeing them every day. I love working for a place that loves having me work there.
They encourage me to be me in order to get the final results. I get to use my own sort of train of thought and sort of satisfy myself while satisfying sort of their vision of how they want guest interactions to be.
I think Zingerman's is a philosophy more than anything, a philosophical commitment to people and to excellence in interacting with people in a genuine fashion.
The philosophy is, treat people really well, create clear expectations, model how you want people to behave, recognize and reward great performance, have an environment where people can grow and flourish, give them the tools that they need in order to do their jobs, treat people like adults.
The people that I work with, I feel like I come here and people really care about me as a person, that my boss doesn't, it's not this top-down management, and it's really them asking us, what can I do for you? And that's really a feeling that I feel every day that I come here.
No matter what level of position you have here, we're all the same, we're all on the same team. As a leader, your role is to serve your staff and serve your coworkers and help each other, rather than being the boss and giving orders and direction. We all help each other.
There's smart people all around you, and if you don't listen to everybody's ideas and make it a culture in which people feel good about coming forth with their ideas, that you end up missing out on a lot of great things.
It's a welcoming environment. Everyone is on your team. Like, they're rooting for you to be successful, and they set you up to be successful.
To me, Zingerman's is opportunity. It gives me the chance to do the best I can do every day and really educate people on really giving great service and eating amazing food. And I get to impact a bunch of people during the holiday in a positive way, and I feel really proud of that.
We all focus on different subcategories of food and making people feel good through food, but I think that's what the main idea is.
For that vision to be successful, none of us can get there alone. It depends on us all getting there together.
It's not only making this really amazing food, but it's creating an exceptional experience that people coming in the doors will just go, wow. So that's Zingerman's. It's not only the deli and then the businesses that have started from there, but it's an amazing experience.
Okay. What do you notice?
Meat cone.
Okay.
Happy.
Excitement. What else?
Pride.
Yeah. What else?
Everybody seemed to know what the company was all about, tip to tail.
Do they all read you a canned speech? No. It's all them being them, but going to the same place. That film was made by Joe York. I mentioned Southern Foodways Alliance this morning. It's a great nonprofit at Ole Miss. He makes amazing little 10, 15-minute documentaries, and he came up and did that for us. It's just him walking around with a handheld camera, walking up to people who work there going, what's Zingerman's, and them all giving a different answer. But it's not like we spent 2 years auditioning.
Not on YouTube, by any chance, is it?
It is.
It is, good.
Where is it on the community site? Well, look, it's up on one of our sites. It's up on one of our sites. And his films are on southernfoodways.org. And he's done amazing, I mean, it's all about y'all's life down here. I mean, there's amazing films about people doing old school food. Highly recommended. So I guess let's get into the heart of the matter here, which is managing ourselves. I guess I would say, so I don't want to go through our whole history, but Paul and I started the business in 1982 with just me and him and 2 employees in 1,300 square feet. 33 years later, we have about 700 employees. We'll do about $55 million in sales, so we're small by J.C. Penney standards, but very large by our own standards and large by most of y'all's standards. As we have grown, people out in the world, they all have theories about why we're successful. Some think it's the customer service, some think it's the product, some because we're in Ann Arbor, some are sure it's because of their business model and they use us as an example of how we've applied their business model even though we didn't know what it was. But I realized as I was working on this third book, which Gary already mentioned, is that no one had ever speculated that the reason we were successful is probably the biggest reason above and beyond all else, and that's because Paul and I have worked so hard for 33 years on managing ourselves more effectively. Because if we wouldn't have, we would have killed each other, quit, bailed, burned out, sold the business, like so many other people do. And the world really isn't all that different. I mean, I know technology's different, but the reality is people are people. The world is the world. Gravity still goes down. There's still 24 hours in the day. What's really changed is not the world, it's the way that we manage ourselves. And so what I want to do with you over the next hour and change is to share with you some of the things that have helped me to change the way I relate to myself in the belief that it can help you. Okay. And this morning's work, was really a lot about big organizational stuff, so I think very helpful if you're leading a larger organization, probably less so if you're a frontline person in one of those, although still good to learn. Today, this afternoon, however, is like universal. So the truth is, I'm focusing it on business, but it's equally good at home. It's equally good at your church. It's equally good at the brownie troop that you run or the basketball team that you run. It doesn't matter. It's universal. Okay. So the page 4 and 5 is just a little background on us statistically, which I don't really want to get into right now. But if you move ahead to page 6, so there's self-management, in my opinion, is as Gary has said, is the key to everything. The funny thing is, so this is part 3 in the series, and a lot of people said, well, I don't understand. I mean, you should have written managing ourselves first. I'm like, well, that might be, but I didn't. And so the truth is, like, it's great to know how to manage yourself, but there's no 22-year-old, 25-year-old starting a business that goes, do you have a 400-page book on self-management that I could read before we open? And there's nobody that would write it before they open. So in theory, it's great, but the reality is, it's more like you start building a business, then you start learning how to lead, and then one day you go, this isn't working, what's going on? And then you go, maybe if I actually look in instead of out, it's going to start to get better. So on page 6, there's 3 big things that I want to get across why this is so important, this work. I have come to believe, we were just talking about this last night, I've come to believe that business, and I use business as a metaphor, so if you're running a department in a business, it's the same. The business that we run is really just a mirror of us. You may not want to look in the mirror, but the reality is, the business is a mirror. It reflects our strengths. It reflects our weaknesses. One of the reasons that diverse perspectives in a partnership is healthy is that we balance out each other's weaknesses and strengths. Right? But the reality is, what we see in the business is just a reflection of what we've been good at or not good at. So, I'm sorry, tell me your name again?
Todd.
Todd. What Todd was talking about, looking at the long term versus the short term, it's highly likely that most of your people are not looking at the really long term either, are they?
Correct.
It's so weird. So the boss isn't looking at the long term. So you're saying there's not like 15, 20 employees coming in going, Todd, man, I've been working on a 10-year vision for our company. Do you have time to go over it with me? And I'm not saying it's bad to focus on the day-to-day because we need to do that also. But my point is, the things that we don't look at, they're not going to look at either. The things that we over-focus on, they're going to over-focus on too. If we're really good at finding the bad things, they're going to find the bad things too. Unfortunately, it's going to be about you and me. I don't know if you noticed that. The more bad things you find in their behavior, the more they're going to find them in yours, and they're good at it. Okay? So I think if we want our business, our organization to be better, the place to start is here. Patty McGraw runs our HR department. She has a little saying which I really love, which is, if you're focusing on what the other person is doing wrong, you're probably focusing on the wrong person. Gary's writing that one down because it's a good one. Okay, the second thing is about the future. So people come to me all the time now and they're like, you're living the dream, man. And I always hate it when they say that. None of you have said it to me, so don't worry. But, Paul has taught me many good things. One of them is a little saying that says, when furious, get curious. Helps me. So I was getting more and more frustrated with these people going, you're living the dream, man. And I always go like, is it a good dream or a bad dream? And I reflected, like, why is it making me so crazy that they're saying this? And I was like, well, because when they say you're living the dream, it's like this implication that there's one dream, and I got it. And it's like, but what they're really saying, I realized over time, is not you're living the dream, it's that I'm living my dream. Because there's no right way to be in life. It's just the key is that we've, in essence, written a vision for our own life, and that's what we're doing. When you're doing what you believe in, it's more fun. When you're doing what you believe in and problems come, it's okay. It's just obstacles en route to something special. When you're doing what you don't believe in and obstacles come, it's exhausting. So really this is just about leading the life you want to lead. It doesn't make your life perfect any more than every day and the weather's going to be perfect, or every child you have is going to be perfect, or every customer is going to behave, but it's just about creating way more good things in your life than not. And what I learned is the better I manage myself, the more effectively I respond to the problems that the world puts in front of me, the more my life is rewarding. Okay? And the third thing is really, it is about creating a positive revolution. You know, it's funny, but I'm really not out to change the world. I just want to change me and impact the people around me positively. And I believe in the end of the day, that does more to change the world than people lecturing the world on how they're behaving badly. Anybody heard of Jim Morrison? Find you a little quote here from Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison said, there can't be any large-scale revolution until there's a personal revolution on an individual level. It's got to happen inside first. So my belief is if we want a more positive society, we need to be more positive. This is what Gandhi said. It's a saying. If we want people to collaborate more, we need to collaborate more. If we want our staff to be more pumped up when they come to work, we got to be pumped up when we come to work. If we want people to vision about the long term, we got to do it, and then we got to teach them how to do visioning. Right? So the change starts here, and it emanates out. That's my belief. I've never seen anybody really change their behavior by somebody lecturing them on what to do differently. People don't get healthy because the doctor told you to. They work out for a week or a month, they eat 2 less desserts, and within 2 months or 6 months, they're right back where they started before. People will behave while the authority figure is present, but when the authority figure is gone, they're going to go right back to doing what they were doing before. We change because we want to change. And all I could do is show you that the better I manage my life, the more enjoyable it is, the more I contribute in the process to the people around me, the more I'm learning, the better our community gets. And if it's working for me and you can adapt it to the way that you do it for you, why not lead a really good life and live your dream? Okay, is this making sense? Okay, let's look at the next page. Is on mindfulness, but before we do that, actually, I'd like you to turn to the very back page, which is it white? Okay, excellent. Along this left side here, I want you to list, one on top of the other, 3 good things that have happened to you lately. Anything.
Ari, can I suggest that they use the vision draft page because we might want them to turn to the evaluation, which is that last page.
Okay, good point, Elnian. Thank you. Somewhere on a piece of white paper, I don't really care where. Or on the back of your hand if you want, old school. Please write down 3 good things. I don't think they actually need to keep them, but either way is fine. Just write 3 good things. The key is that it's one on top of the other. Any 3. Could be what you had for breakfast today. I didn't get my fruit yet from you. It's out here. She told me, Elnian told me. I forgot.
You enjoyed it like you did your lunch.
Yeah. It's okay. Helps me lose weight. Everybody got 3? You got them? Yes. Okay, excellent. Hold them. We'll come back to them in a little while. Okay? Now let's go back to page 7 for mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? What do you think?
Trying to stay out of autopilot, but be conscious about the decisions you're making.
Oh, I like that. Very good, Danny. So staying off of autopilot and remaining conscious or mindful of what's going on. I like that. What else is mindfulness?
Awareness.
It's all about awareness. What are you aware of?
The moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's probably where they got it. John Kabat-Zinn is a very interesting writer who's written a lot about mindfulness. He said, mindfulness is awareness cultivated by paying attention in a sustained and particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So the key is to separate the judgment, which it tends to happen to all of us very quickly. I can't believe she did that. Is to back off and just let it be. So you're observing what's going on. And why would it be important to be mindful? What's the benefit?
So you know where you're going. Yeah.
Okay. That's helpful. What else? I agree. What else?
You'll see changes happening.
You see a lot happening.
Small problem stays small, that reaction can snowball.
Yeah. What I would suggest to you is that most of the world is not paying attention to most of what's going on. And consequently, we are missing many things. When you are missing a lot of information, what's the quality of the decisions that you deliver? Poor. Okay. So mindfulness is paying attention. Anybody know what this is? It's $1. Only Wayne knows where it came from. I found it. Walking back, I found it. Is it yours? I found it walking back from lunch. What?
The last time Ari was here, he found a $20 bill.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot all about that.
Oh yes.
In the parking lot.
We need to go to lunch with Ari.
No. He'll tell you why, and it makes sense to me because I do the same thing.
I found it. I just found it. Now I found it. I didn't find it in an empty field. I found it laying on the sidewalk on the main street of Alexandria, Louisiana, where there was probably 20 people within 5 feet of it. And I don't care about the dollar. I just brought it back because it was just such a good example. I'm telling you, man, there are dollars laying all over the world. I'm not joking. And I'm speaking metaphorically, not about the money. There's stuff laying all around y'all that we don't notice that would benefit us, but we don't look, we don't listen, we don't hear it. Alex, who's the managing partner and the chef from the Roadhouse, it was in that film, and he said, there's good ideas all around you, and if we don't listen, we miss out. Okay, so I haven't been to India, I haven't studied mindfulness, I haven't, I don't do formal meditation and yoga, but I'm just telling you, tuning in to the details of what's going on around us will make us better. Part of why Danny's good at sales is he notices a lot of nuance about clients. Part of why Gary's good in the restaurant business is we notice the nuance. Y'all are good at certain parts of your life you already notice. What I want to suggest is there's a lot more than what you're already currently good at. And if you start to expand your awareness, you're just going to have more information, which is going to help you make better decisions. See, because the inattentive service provider does stuff that looks stupid to those of us who are good at giving customer service, but I would suggest mostly they just don't notice what you and I notice. This is why in football, great quarterbacks make the perfect pass and the bad quarterback throws an interception because they didn't see the defensive back. It's easy, by the way, on replay. It's not that easy when there's 7 guys bigger than you running at you full speed to hit you in the head. Just saying. Okay, so I want to have you practice for a few minutes, right? If you can do this on the mindfulness page, there should be room. So there's 5 senses. You know what they are? Sight, smell, taste, touch. Okay, excellent. So I want you to focus on all 5 senses while we're in the room here. And I want you to start to look and listen and notice at a level that you are not used to noticing. So it's not just that Shane's wearing a blue shirt, but what's he wearing under the blue shirt? And what kind of blue shirt? And what color blue? Because if you sell clothes, we know there's a lot of shades of blue. And I want you to start to notice. And if you're really pushing the envelope, you can focus also on how you feel and what's going on with you. And the way I want you to do this is basically journaling. I want you to just write. We're not collecting it. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes, and I want you to just start writing down all what you notice, as much as possible. Quantity over quality. Don't agonize. So start to, you might have to move around, look at each other, look at the room, look at me, listen. What's in your mouth? What's the taste? Okay? You clear on what I'm saying? That's a yes/no question. Yeah. Okay, go. Okay, when you finish the thought you're having right now, I'm going to have you pair up with somebody, preferably a different person than you did last time, and talk about what you just noticed. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do that, so you're going to have to talk fast. How did that go? How did it go while you were noticing? Who noticed more? The more you, not between you, but the more you worked at it, did you notice more things? Way more. Were there actually any more things going on than before you noticed them? No. What happens to a quarterback when they don't notice the blitzing linebacker? They get sacked. Okay, y'all are getting sacked regularly. And even worse, your employees are getting sacked regularly because they're not noticing what's going on. Okay? And not only are they not noticing what's going on, they're missing cool stuff. This is like, I'm a city kid, so I grew up in Chicago. I like to smell the fresh asphalt. So when you started taking me into the woods, all I would be worried about is bugs and stuff. But when you actually go into nature and you learn how to appreciate it, there's a whole beautiful world that I wasn't raised to understand. Not because I was in a bad family, it's just not my experience, right? So the more you notice, the more interesting life gets. Robert Greenleaf, who wrote Servant Leadership, which is a big piece of our work, said, awareness has its risks, but it makes life more interesting. Certainly, it strengthens one's effectiveness as a leader. Okay? Mindfulness just gives you more information. It takes actually less time. Because see, if you don't, coming back to football just for a moment, if you get sacked, you're further behind. So by noticing little nuances and noticing potential problems, you can deal with them before they become big problems. So when you deal with something when it's just starting, it takes way less time than if you let it become a crisis. Okay? Ronald Siegel wrote an article on mindfulness. He said, mindfulness is just street smarts for the mind. It's just learning how to manage your mind in a way that's very down to earth. It ain't fancy, it's just practical. Todd got up this morning and moved to a different seat after I suggested it. How did that go? What happened?
It was good. It was totally different perspective.
Yeah. One of the key elements of mindfulness is to, again, get out of our rut and to have empathy and understanding for others. We all look at the world from our own perspective. That's not evil. But the problem is we lose touch with what it's like to be the other person. And we're all guilty of it, and it doesn't make you a bad person. It's just, if we've been running our business, as I have for 33 years, it's not that easy to be understanding what it's like to be 17, walking in on your first day, surrounded by all this food and all these smart people and all this stuff going on, and it's your first day. Right? So just remembering what it's like to be in the other person's shoes, and either sometimes we were talking in the break, I'm like, dude, just move your desk to the back dock for a month. You'll learn a whole new part of your company. Just go answer the phone for an hour. You don't have to do it all day. They'll be happy because you'll be doing them a favor. Go take a little break, man. It's a nice day out. Let me do this for you for 20 minutes. I guarantee you, you're going to learn all sorts of new stuff. Ride along with the delivery driver. Do night cleaning for 2 hours. It doesn't have to take that much time. But the key is to change perspectives and to become mindful of the different things. If you're somebody who likes structure, if all you do is structure yourself in a weekly routine, whatever it is, every week for 15 minutes, twice a week, I go into a different part of the company. A woman that used to work for us she bought a pair of old glass frames without lenses, and she would have the employee put them on, just like every day. She'd say, okay, you wear the glasses today, and have them go walk around on the floor and look. And because they had these stupid little glasses on, they would think about it differently. Because you were asking them to pay attention. Frequently when I leave one of the businesses, just kind of jokingly, I will often say to whoever's standing near me, and then I'll say it aloud, and I'll go like, "Sissy, you're in charge, I'm out of here." But I'm going to tell you, just from saying that, they're paying more attention for a little while. Right? So the key is to get everybody, again, to be thinking like they're leading the show, not like they're standing there waiting. Because people standing around being employees is not helpful. What's helpful is people thinking like leaders. Do leaders always agree? No, of course not. But they're going for greatness. And disagreeing en route to greatness is healthy. Standing there getting hit upside the head because you didn't see it coming is not helpful. Okay, is this making sense? Okay, let's move forward to the next page. So, at the core of managing ourselves better is getting to know ourselves better. Yay! Yay! We could lead them in a cheer. Everybody, yay! Yay! Woo! I like it. You did. Look what happened. It's leadership. I wasn't going to do that at all. I've never actually done that. So getting to know yourself. if you had a really good employee and I told you that it was a productive use of your time to spend an hour or two a week with that long-term employee, getting to know their needs, their dreams, their hopes, and they were going to be with you for the next 10 years working their butt off, would you make that time commitment? Absolutely. So the bad news is I don't have that employee for you, but the good news is you have you. There's only one person you could 100% be guaranteed is going to be with you the rest of your life. And I don't want to be morbid, but it's you. We hope that others will be with us for a long time, but we really don't know. Time invested in getting to know our own strengths, our weaknesses, our sensitivities, where we go astray is very helpful. Who has an automobile here? On the right side, there's a mirror. Seen that? It says something in small letters. What does it say? It's so great. The whole country could get up together and go, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Like, we don't know nothing else, but they don't know who signed the Declaration of Independence, but we know that the right side of the mirror says. Why does it say that? Because it's true. Very good. What happens if you don't know that objects in the mirror are closer than they appear and you merge right? You have an accident. Self-awareness is basically just internalizing what's in that mirror. All of us have things figuratively in our lives that are closer than they appear or further than they appear or less big than we think they are or smaller than whatever. The point is, if you know yourself, you can understand that the reactions that you're having may not be accurate in terms of what's really going on in the world. Susan Cain wrote a very good book called Quiet on Introverts. Do you know about that? You do? Most of the introverts don't want to admit that they read a book about introverts because it's kind of like outing yourself, you know. So anyway, it's very good, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said, if you believe that what you see as reality is true, you're wrong. I learned this as a history major. So there is no objective history. It's just different people's perspective on what history was. If you're from the Ojibwe people, which is the native people from where we live in Michigan, I'm going to tell you, your history story is a little different than the one the Europeans told. So every time they say that they discovered it and it was uninhabited land, and then you talk to an Ojibwe person who's like, dude, we've been here for thousands of years, what are you talking about? Now, I'm not here to argue what's right or wrong, it's just to understand that none of us fully get it. And that's why I wanted y'all to talk to each other, because just by that simple act of talking to another person who sees, hears, tastes things differently, it comes from a different place than you are, you start to get a more holistic sense of the world. Okay, so objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Knowing what your sensitivities are is helpful. Here's one of mine. I hate bad display in our businesses. It makes me crazy. You're familiar with that, right? Okay, so like when I see a lousy display, my anxiety goes through the roof. Now my anxiety level, it would be akin to like the whole building was falling down by the way that my anxiety goes up. But through self-awareness and having screwed this up a lot, I have, like what I used to do is rush in and start fixing the display. You do that too? Yes. How's that work for you? Not good. Not good. See, she's smiling because we have the same problem. What do the employees do you think, when I anxiously, with high tension, start fixing the display? There he goes. They go, there he goes again, and basically they flee from the scene until I'm done. How's customer service while I'm doing that? Yeah. And how's their interest in making good displays? Not very good, because either they go, he'll fix it himself, or what's the point? So once I understood that my anxiety was going very high over an issue that really, I mean, no offense to me, but Zingerman's is not going to end after 33 years because one display was a C-. That I could back myself up and walk the other way. If I can walk the other way, then I can come back to this morning's work. At the size we're at, this is not a personal issue. It's a systemic issue. It's a training issue. It's a management issue. There's some other working on the business thing that needs to happen. Do I need to teach a class? Are we doing the training work well? Has the person been talked to about the quality of their displays? So my point is, I want to run in and fix it, Good self-management has taught me that's extremely unhelpful. In fact, it would be better to have not noticed it. Is this making sense? Yep. We all have different things. So my partner Paul will walk by the display and not even notice there is one. It's not good or bad. It's just the things that make him crazy, I don't notice. The things that make me crazy, he doesn't notice. That's why we're good partners. Okay? So this whole thing of self-awareness is huge. How would you get to know yourself, do you think? There's no one right answer, but what are some ways that you might get to know yourself?
Ask.
Ask.
Others.
Others, okay. What else? I like that. Others could tell you a lot. What else? Yeah, so being mindful. Self-reflection. So self-reflection and that I have learned to do through journaling. It ain't fancy. I use a yellow legal pad with a pen. I do like a certain kind of pad and I do like a certain kind of pen, but they're not that expensive. In my estimation, this is the best investment I've ever made in my life. I started journaling when I started going to therapy, which is probably when I was like 30, 31, and the guy, he suggested it to me, and I'm like high school girls keep diaries. I am not gonna, this is not what I'm gonna do. But he pointed out that I was very good at ruminating. Does anybody know what ruminating is? I did not know what it was, but you know what's ruminating? Yeah, it's embarrassing that I didn't know because we sell a lot of cheese and cows ruminate. They redigest their food over and over again. So in a mental sense, ruminating is where you agonize over the same thing without making any headway. Who here has done that in their life? Okay, so I was very good at ruminating. So journaling helped me with the ruminating because instead of going around in my head 8,000 times or more, when you're journaling, you don't just write the same sentence for 20 minutes. It's boring. So I would start to go like, why am I so frustrated? Why am I bummed out? What's causing me anxiety? You know, it's natural. But in your head, it's like the tape loop just keeps spinning faster and faster. And I would suggest that that tape loop is a distraction that we use to keep us from dealing with what's really going on. So the journaling helped me. Does anybody here besides me run? I know Peter does. Okay, so does anybody, if you don't stretch before you run, what's more likely to happen? Injury. Yeah. Now, we've all run without stretching when time was tight, but we also know that it makes more sense to take like literally 3 to 5 minutes just to stretch a little before, and then of course after. I learned later it was better to stretch after than before. But the point is, for me, I journal literally every morning with very few exceptions. It's like stretching before I run. We got 700 employees. Even if you got 7, I don't care. You are impacting a lot of people. If I save myself through reflection and understanding and self-awareness, if I save myself from one stupid decision a day, isn't it worth 25 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes of me taking time to put my thoughts down on paper?
Is there a reason why you opted for morning instead of evening?
Well, that's why I do it. I don't think the evening's bad. It's really whatever works for you. But for me, the morning clears my brain. Now, I don't have little kids, so, no, I mean, if you have little kids, there's like an immediate need that you got to dive into, perhaps. But for me, it's very helpful because I prepare for the day. And I don't have like an organized way of doing it. It's just random. But the reality is, it's basically practicing mindfulness. It's basically emptying my head and getting the bullshit out and getting the thoughts down on paper. It's like, I know I got a difficult meeting coming up, so I could get myself centered. This is likely to happen. What do I need to do? Or I'm sensitive to like so-and-so provokes me really quickly and I lose it. What do I, you know, so if I'm more prepared, I don't lose it as quick. If I don't lose it as quick, the meeting goes better. There's 10 people in the meeting. If the meeting goes better, they all leave the meeting going better. So the whole day is better for me spending 2 minutes going, don't lose it. But if I'm not prepared, it's the linebacker hitting the quarterback blindside. It hurts. And then you got a lot of ground to make up. So it's really this small investment with this big return. Does that help? It's a very easy thing, but it's just, and then over time, it's really helped me. When I started to notice that I was getting caught up in the negative, who's had that happen to them? It's fairly normal. So then I would like try to get perspective, like, come on, man, it's not all bad. Like, look at those people. Taste that coffee cake. Like, hello, I'm mostly surrounded by amazing people with incredible food that we've worked really hard to get, and some of these people I've known and loved and worked with for ages, and yeah, the display sucks, and yeah, yes, last week's sales weren't that good, but hello, there's like 9,000 good things, so I would just start writing down good things. Because I had been losing perspective. Now I'm back in perspective. The more I'm in perspective, the less my anxiety is getting in the way. Is this making any sense? Am I scaring you? A little?